The CDC issued a new moratorium or an extension on the moratorium until October the 3rd as more and more cases of COVID are reported through our country. President Joe Biden ordered the new moratorium after saying he didn't have the legal authority to extend it. His lawyers agreed, saying the moratorium might not stand up in court. Landlords from Alabama went to federal court in Washington yesterday asking for an order that would allow evictions to resume. The basic legal issue is whether the CDC has the authority in the midst of a public health crisis to impose a pause on evictions. We want to make sure that you know that there is help for landlords. They can apply for assistance from the North Carolina HOPE program on behalf of their tenants. A program specialist will then follow up with the tenants to help start the application process. And you can do this by going to the HOPE program website, calling the number that's on your screen. We're going to leave it up for just a few more seconds so that you can take a screenshot of it. We are also going to put it in the 2 wants to know section so that you'll have that as well, so that it's kind of one-stop shopping for all of your resources. All right, there's still a lot of questions to be answered. Hannah Gurrier from Legal Aid of North Carolina is here answering your questions. You can continue to text on the number there at the bottom of the screen. Let's go with these questions that we have right now. This person says, my landlord wants to sell my condo and my lease runs out in February of 2022. I'm not behind on rent, so can my landlord end my lease early and sell the place?
Your landlord shouldn't be able to end a lease early, but there may be a provision in your lease that allows them to do that. I would suggest contacting Legal Aid of North Carolina at 1-866-219-5262 to get specific information about or specific advice on your situation.
And again, that call is a free call that you can make, and you're able to ask questions and they're able to give you some guidance so that you'll know what you need to do next. This next question is, can a landlord charge late fees?
Yes, right now they can still charge late fees.
And that's even with the CDC moratorium guidelines. It in fact says on there that the landlord is allowed to charge the late fees. So when the moratorium ends, all the rent would be due in full along with all those late fees?
Yes, the entire balance will be due and the landlord will be able to move forward if that hasn't been resolved.
Okay, this person says, okay, so what if I am the landlord and I have a mortgage on a property and I can't pay the mortgage without the rent, so now my house is going into foreclosure. Can I evict them?
No, you can't evict your tenant. Landlords can't evict the tenant if the tenant has given the landlord a CDC declaration and is protected under the moratorium, but they can apply for the HOPE program funds.
Yeah, and that would be the thing. And it's not too late to do that. That's why we're giving out all this information now. So landlords, you can apply for that on behalf of your tenants so that you can get that rent payment, and they pay rent in arrears. So if they're back, they will pay for months at a time. And again, it's up to 12 months that they will pay at this moment. All right, this person is asking a very different kind of question. They say, can my landlord file for eviction because I got an emotional support dog during this pandemic?
Landlords should not be able to move forward with evictions based on emotional support animals. Individuals with disabilities are protected under the Fair Housing Agreements Act, and emotional support animals are part of that. They should contact Legal Aid of North Carolina if this is happening to them.
All right, and they might have to provide some documentation and things of that nature. Sometimes it's not just good enough to say, well, this is what I got it for.
Yes, sometimes you have to provide documentation from a doctor or another medical professional indicating that this animal is needed as an emotional support animal.
All right, and very quickly, if someone calls Legal Aid of North Carolina, they call and they give like their specific issue, and then they're directed to someone who can best help them?
Yes, so they call our central intake unit. Those individuals ask a lot of questions and they get directed to an attorney in that area of law.
Okay, easy enough, and that is free for you to be able to call and get that kind of guidance to at least know what your next jumping off point is. Thank you, Hannah, for being here today and answering all of those questions. We so appreciate it.